Sponsored by the Glass Jug. Located just off State Road 55 in Durham, the Glass Jug is the only place in the Triangle where you can browse a selection of hundreds of different craft beers, sit and enjoy one of 16 different beers on tap, and then take home a counter-pressure-filled growler of your favorite draft beer. Their growler filling technology ensures beer freshness and carbonation for much longer than growlers filled from the tap. Join the Glass Jug for free tasting events every Thursday at 5 p.m. We'll see you at the Glass Jug.
Dave's not going to believe this. Oh, Dave, guess what I've got?
Wait, what? You have Mystery Brewing beer in a can? I seem to recall Mystery having an opinion about cans.
We are hoping to be in bottles. I will never ever put a beer in a can. Will never ever put a beer in a can.
I think we need to go down there and check this out. Lucy, you got some splaining to do.
The NCBeer guys. I can explain.
So Eric, we heard when we were here before, we probably work on cans, and we see these beautiful, glorious cans of Mystery beer. How do we come from that to where we are?
Yeah, so it's funny, you know. We did bottles. So we started in growlers out in the marketplace, and then we had these 22-ounce bottles, and you know, we've kind of been bootstrapping up in terms of our growth. We're not like super flush with cash all the time, so it's not like when we opened up we had the money to sit down and drop a ton of money on a big bottling line or anything like that. And at some point we were doing this bottling run. We have this little tiny 4-head bottle filler, and it sucks. We were spending hours and hours and hours of employees' time. I had 2 people whose sole job were filling 22-ounce bottles. 4 at a time. 4 at a time.
And capping them and making sure they were quality.
Capping them and labeling them by hand and putting them into boxes, and it's just like, it's the dumbest thing ever. We were averaging 7 cases an hour.
But the marketplace had pulled you out of just the growler business. I mean, you knew Absolutely. You had to be in the marketplace.
Right. Well, you need to have package, right? Especially in North Carolina. I think North Carolina is a very package-driven state, and you need to be able to move stuff out there. And we had this really incredibly inefficient way of bottling, and so the plan at that point was to say, okay, let's look at expansion and let's get a bottling line. And start actually doing a bottling line.
And efficient, but still in bottles.
Right.
Efficient
process, you know, like rotary head
line.
Or something like that, or maybe a 6-head Maheen, like doing something that's pretty automated that you can run with 1 or 2 people and make it work that way. And we were on a trip up with my old head brewer, Chris Shields, my business partner, Andrew Turner, and myself. We were driving up to Dogfish Head for Master Brewers Association of America meeting last April, almost exactly a year ago now. And we were in the car and we were driving up and just talking about how are we going to make this expansion happen? How are we going to make this bottling line work? Where are we going to put it in the space? Like, how is it all going to work? And as we were driving up, we just kept on talking over the logistics, and it came out that all of us were pretty unhappy with bottles. Not the look or the feel or anything like that, but that they're expensive and they're breakable, and there's a lot of big pain in the butt with bottles.
And they're not as portable in every location as a can.
They're heavy. And you know, here's the thing. It's the thing that really came down to it for us that started us thinking about cans was frankly the broken glass. We had broken glass everywhere. We've had bottles explode on the bottling device. We've had cases fall off of a pallet and there's broken glass all over the dock. I've had cuts on every single one of my fingers, on my hands, from picking stuff up off the floor or digging stuff out of the bottling device. There's glass all over the brewery in some point or another, and it really sucks. And so we started, you know, at some point during the drive, we said, well, what about cans? And
Now, just to set the context, were these guys also kind of the same frame of mind with you, that really we're not going to do cans, or was it not as big an evolution for some as others?
Not a big as evolution for them, and
it was almost a philosophy for you.
Yes,
Right.
and honestly, I still have little problems with cans, but I've been working really hard to overcome them, and I think that's been the goal. Is find what my problems are with cans and try to fix them, and look, canning technology for small breweries has gotten a lot better, and it's a little bit more efficient, and we can get smaller loads of cans now, and we have the option to be able to get a labeler for a canning line, and so there's all these advances that makes it more cash efficient for us, and
a more efficient process by far.
a more efficient process, and at the end of the day, fit the big thing that I've always had against cans, which is elegance. I don't feel like cans are elegant. So you've got 22-ounce bottles are pretty. They're big, they're brown, they've got curves. You can put these really big labels on them, and they're gorgeous. And with cans, they're metal cylinders, and they're just not super pretty. And so we really had to sit down and work at it and say, all right, how do we make this thing elegant?
If we're going to do cans,
Right.
and assuming now we're even willing to talk about it, how we make a can that's suitable for the mystery brand.
Right. How do we make it elegant? So we started talking about that. Like, what do we do to actually overcome the fact that I think cans are mostly ugly? And we kind of bantered about that on the drive. We got up to the to Dogfish Head and saw their new bottling line, which is like visiting the space shuttle. They are doing something ridiculous like 300 cans a second or some ridiculous number. That's probably not right. It doesn't matter. We figured out that they could do everything that we had ever made in 6 hours. And we sat there looking at this going like, is this our future? It might be really cool. Like we're never going to be that big, but it doesn't matter. And then we started talking to a lot of other people about packages, and like everybody was going to cans, and they had all of these really great reasons why. It was going to be cheaper, and it was going to pull down cost per case this amount, and it was, all of these great things.
And while you've not been afraid in the past of being the Lone Ranger in some areas, you don't want to be the one that's the Lone Ranger and left behind.
Right, exactly.
Because as you just said, a lot of people were moving, since we talked before, to the can. I mean, the can has come a long ways. Well, we all know that traditionally we thought craft beer had to be in a bottle product.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
That's so far behind now.
Yep.
And you're a forward thinker.
And people are going.
The drinkers are already ahead of us. You know that. The drinkers are ahead of us.
Yeah, way ahead. And it's frankly so much ahead that it's been a big shock to us and a huge shock to me. And so now I'm very happy with cans right now. But it's. I was convinced on that trip, just talking to a bunch of other brewers and talking about how it really changed their brewery and changed their culture and changed their efficiency and really changed their cost per case and everything like this. And then we sat down and said, okay, the last thing we have to do is figure out. We have beautiful design on our bottles. We have really gorgeous labels. We're really happy with the way they look.
And you've been proud of that as a brand.
Very much. I want to look good at all times. People shop with their eyes. I want somebody to look at the shelf and say, that's a beer that I want. So it was really left with, how do we bring that same look and feel to the can? So we found an artist who is on staff with us, who is absolutely phenomenal, and worked on making something that we think we're really proud of, and actually have really beautiful artwork. And you know what? It's not an easy can to look at, right?
Right.
It's very
so busy and complicated.
It's detailed and complicated, but I think it does have its level of elegance. I think people want to pick it up and look at it and hold it and
it's intriguing in the sense that they want to see all they can see.
Right.
As you said, it's complicated enough to be interesting, and you can engage with this can just like you can a bomber or a bottle.
Exactly, but it still has just the very plain information that I need. It's got the name, it's got the brand, it's got what style it is, and
all the efficiency of a friggin' can.
Exactly. So we've pulled down our case cost something like 200% so far, and we're using mobile canning now. So
let's talk about that a little bit too, for our viewers who don't know.
Sure.
How does that work for you? They come in every so often.
Right now we have them coming in every week
under contract. They're yours that day.
Exactly.
And you know they're coming.
So basically, what happens is they show up. They've got a canning line on a truck. They wheel it into our brewery. They set it up right in the middle of the brewery where they can have the easiest access to tanks. We have beer ready to go in tanks. It's carbonated. It's at the right temperature. It's at the right pressure and everything like that. They hook it in. They turn on the canning line. It takes them about an hour to set up in the morning, hour and a half to get everything clean, something like that. We run for the whole day, put as much beer through it as we can in one day. Then we are left with a few pallets of cans, and they pack up and take off, and we have all of our beer.
Now, you made that sound a little easier than it is. You already have sleeves here.
We're not sleeving, we're labeling.
Okay, you have the cans here.
Yep.
Already, the shells.
Yep.
And you have do they do the labeling, or you do that as another process?
We do the labels. Right now we are hand labeling, which is miserable, but we're getting a little device to help label, and we're actually going to have an inline labeler pretty soon that we can just back up to their canning line.
Right.
So everything will come off labeled. It's amazing. I mean, what we used to do in a month, we can do in an afternoon. The cost is down across everything, which means that I can put these out at a much better price than our bombers were on the market. Where I'm selling a half gallon of beer for what I used to be selling for 22 ounces, and frankly, it's being received.
Is that going to open your
way.
brand to new drinkers?
Already, we had after we released our cans, we hit our largest single sales week ever.
Right.
Followed by our largest ever sales week ever.
So you can get over some of this philosophical shift or non-shift.
Yeah, I gotta say the wallet talks.
That's what I mean. That's
really well.
That's really not odd for you to say, because you've not been driven by the pocketbook.
No, I don't.
You've not. Your passion is what drives you. We all know that.
We're not. Yeah, I don't.
But
think
you're
we're
not
necessarily
immune
here to be rich.
But you're not immune.
Well, look. I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
you run a business.
Right, and I gotta make sure that my employees are paid, and I want to pay them well, and we try really hard to be good employers. We have good, we have health care, we have, I think very.
And this allows you to do more and better in the future too. This is your future, I guess.
Yeah, it is now.
Now, and you will can line of your own at some point.
Yep, we're actually just about to sign on an expansion loan, and by just about I mean like today or tomorrow or the day after, I hope. And we're getting in our own canning line. We're getting in a bunch more tanks. We've got a whole bunch of new efficiencies coming in.
And on top of the cans, I mean, the brewery is expanding.
Yep, absolutely. We're getting bigger and better, faster and stronger.
And we just jumped over from the public house, and you're expanding there as well, right?
We are. Yeah, we're doubling the size of the public house, putting in more seats, hopefully putting in a kitchen, and actually becoming a brew pub.
That's going to be quite a shift too, right? I mean, that's a whole new ball game. Food.
And you know what? This thing where I say I'll never do cans.
Did you say you never did food too?
Yeah, my owners like to remind me, my business partners like to remind me that in the very first iteration of my business plan, I was like, I will never be a brew pub. And here we go.
But isn't life about learning and growing and your philosophies change? I mean, just because you have an opinion doesn't mean you can't have a more educated, different opinion.
That's exactly it, right? We've been running for 3 years now, and in that time, you learn a lot, and things change around you. The industry, even in the 3 years that we've been open, has changed an enormous amount. I mean, look, 100 breweries have opened since we opened in North Carolina. The shelf space is different, and the marketplace is different, and the technology is different, and it's growing in leaps and bounds and doing these amazing things. And
the drinkers are so different.
They're very different.
And there's so many more of them, for one, but they're also more educated, more demanding of you as a brewer, and of the products you put out there. And all that has to drive. The synergy has to be there, or you're again going to be left behind. That's not who you are.
And so if you stick to this outdated idea,
because your pure goal idea,
and you've made a statement in a popular beer blog about it,
I'll never can, or I won't can until you're right.
Then if you stick to your guns too much, then I think you can be left behind. And I'm trying not to do that. Yeah.
Well, we love seeing it. We think the canned products are great, and of course we love the beer as always.
Well, I'm really glad that you guys took me to task on it.
Well, thanks for coming on with us.
Anytime at all.
Thanks, Eric.
Cheers.
For the NC Beer guys, this is Dave and Glenn, another episode of NC Beer Buzz, reminding you to drink local and keep your beer dollars in North Carolina. Good.